Hello everyone, this is Here's Trivia, and today Total War Pharaoh officially launches, and we're going to start with our first Let's Play on the channel, as we're going to play Amenmesse. He is one of the Egyptian factions available in the game, and I think he has one of the easiest starting situation, which is why we're going to be starting things off with him. We are down in the area close to Nubia and Kush, and that's going to be the highlight of our playstyle, as most of our unique faction unit will be Kush Knight units or Nubian units who are all famous for their archery, and that's sort of the playstyle that I personally like as well with ranged units. We also have a lot of wealth near us, as this is an area rich in gold, and we'll be using the Ancient Legacy that focus on merchant trading. I had a lot of fun with that during the pre-release previews, and we're going to be trying that out in an official Let's Play here for the very first time. Now, we're going to talk about the faction after we jump into the game, but just for gameplay settings, we're going to be playing on the hardest difficulty, which is Legendary, and that's going to automatically set the battle difficulty to the hardest on the Veteran scale. I am not going to make any changes to campaign customization, even though for Total War Pharaoh, there is a ton of things you can change. You can even get random starting locations for every faction in the game and just sort of mess up the map. You can turn on and off any sort of disasters or bonuses you might think is possible in the game with the Pillar of Civilization. You can change battle responses. You can disable retreat from battle for both you and the AI. Missile ammo can be increased or decreased. Every unit can become unbreakable. You can turn it off. There's a lot of things you can change. And just for the sake of our first experience, we'll be playing everything on default. So just in case anything was changed, we're gonna just shift everything back to default position here, and we'll play it on default first, just to experience how the game was designed. And if there are things we don't like or things we want to improve, we can make changes to future Let's Plays. So let's hop into game, and we'll take a look at Amenmesse, who is one of the princes. He is the son of Menephet, who is the current pharaoh, but he is not the chosen heir because he's a mixed blood. His mother was a Nubian, and he's rewarded with the Viceroy of Kush position down in this area, and then he's going to end up fighting a civil war historically with the chosen heir Seti. He will lose, but he does come out quite strong early on after Menephet's death. We're obviously going to rewrite that history and try to ascend the throne ourselves as the next pharaoh here in the game. So let's see if we can take what is yours.
I am Meneptah. No, I am the great Pharaoh Meneptah. 10 years ago, I inherited the throne in the shadow of my father. The strong bull, the protector of Egypt, the chosen of Ra and beloved of Amun, the mighty pharaoh, Ramses the Second. Egypt has flourished throughout my reign, but now I sense The eyes of Set upon me, and dark times are coming. What will happen to my kingdom after my soul slips into the eternal lands of the afterlife?
Alrighty, so we saw the opening cinematic. This is the only Let's Play we'll show that. It's the same for every faction. And we have a little introduction to Amenmesse. A lesser son am I, and my mother, a lesser wife, and her peoples, my peoples, Nubian blood. Are we any less Egyptian for it? So be it. Me and them understand each other perfectly, with but a single word, gold. Blood betrays, blood is tarnish, gold is gold. And it is with gold that I will remake the world in my likeness. Waset awaits. There will be gold on my warrior's brows, on the wheels of my chariot, and on the blade of my axe. Everyone will see me coming. No one will stop me. And that's exactly what we will do.
The Viceroy of Kush takes care of Nubian and Kushite territories. He makes sure their mines sustain the wealth of Egypt and keeps the unruly warriors under the Pharaoh's heel. It is a proud and distinguished title bestowed upon worthy men. My son Amenmesse disagrees. I granted him dominion over our lands to the south, full of riches and free for him to barter with or conquer. Yet all I receive in return is bitterness and resentment. The more his wealth and influence grows, the more dangerous he becomes. Amenmesse has no love for his brother Seti and his wife Tausret. He could stake his claim as a prince of Egypt by challenging his brother for the throne. Perhaps it was a mistake to send him so far from my oversight. Or perhaps his fortune is a message from great Amun. Could it be that one day this gold-kissed son of Egypt is destined to trade the title of Viceroy for the divine role of Pharaoh?
Alrighty, we have a nice little introduction from our dad, the current Pharaoh, Menefet, and we're now going to talk about the strength and weakness of our faction and things that are unique to us. So in terms of buildings, we have a couple unique ones: the foreign visitor building, the gold mine labor camps, and the gold market. Essentially, we have a lot of trade-offs with gold and influence. We are in an area that is rich with gold mines, so we have things like the gold mine labor camp that will help us secure more gold. But in return, we lose our Egyptian influence, and we gain Nubian or Kushite influence instead, and that kind of weakens our production overall. Influence actually have some very harsh negative penalties, so we have to be careful there, but it plays into this thematic role that we are dealing with sort of foreign powers, even though at this point Nubian and Kushites are vassals to the Egyptian Empire, and their people are basically Egyptians, just like we are sort of this half-blood prince here. And then we also have the gold market, which turns some of the gold income that we receive into all the other resources and also grants us legitimacy. So we're buying things with gold with this building, and it's actually very powerful for resource generation. We can basically turn our excess gold into all sorts of resources we need, including stone, which is the finite resource in the game, as deposits for stone regions are limited. And then finally, we have the Foreign Visitors building, which increases workforce and resource production, but it will lower our influence. Once again, the trade-off with influence, allowing foreign visitors to come into our land. It will help us build up our province because workforce will generate idle workforce, which is required for all the buildings. But essentially, that's kind of the theme that we're going with our buildings. In terms of our faction unit, we have a lot of Kushnite and Nubian unit who are historically famous for their archers. Therefore, we have the strongest archers in the game, both in terms of their damage and their incredible range, and we'll take great advantage of those as we play in the first few turns. We have some very good archers right off the bat that we can recruit. We are lacking in charging strong infantry, even though Amenmesse himself is a very good charging infantry as he wields an axe, so our bodyguard units are going to be these axe units. But we do have strong defensive infantry to hold the line, Nubian spearmen for example here. We'll get to take a look at all the units we have available as we sort of get buildings off the ground, since we need those for higher tier recruitment. But essentially, spear wall, archers, and also archer chariots as we advance farther up the building tree. Those will be our strength. Then for commands, this is sort of the unique move, the faction mechanic we can do every year or on the final turn of the year, which is the Shimsu-Hor turn. We can either use it once a year for its primary effect, which for us is we can produce these gold masks. They're ancillary items. We can equip them. It will cost us gold to produce, but it will grant us legitimacy. I also believe if we go with the merchant route, we can trade equipment. Now, I know for a fact we can trade weapons and shields and armor. I'm not sure if we can trade ancillary. If we can, then obviously we can use gold to produce these items that we can use in that trading sort of mini game that we have with that mechanic. Or if we don't want any of these golden masks, we can wait till Shimsu-Hor. At that point, units and buildings that require gold to construct or to recruit will cost a lot less. So if we hold off on using this ability to get the mask every year, which is a 6-turn time frame, we can use it on the start of the year, the 6th turn, and reduce the cost of gold for our units and buildings, which is going to be great for late game units and some of the higher tier buildings. Then for court action, we have something unique with us in that we start off as the Viceroy of Kush. Even though we don't have the court option available to us right away at the start of the game, it'll take, I believe, 2 cycles of Shimsu-Hor, so about 12 turns to unlock all the game mechanics. Once we do have the court, we'll have a higher gold income because of this position. We also have special recruitment access to Kushnite units, which means we can get them sort of as additional recruitment slot in a pinch. We can also buy court actions with gold, so if we want to take more actions, we can use our excess gold to take those actions, but the price will increase until the end of turn if we buy multiple actions in the same turn. It's still very flexible. We don't get any unique twist to it, but basically we're flexing our gold and also going to make more gold back using our court mechanics. In terms of what we start with, our outpost, we have the Shrine to Amun. That's the only outpost we have. We are lacking in quite a few outposts. We need to get those up. Outposts are very strong. It's a new mechanic in Total War Pharaoh. Essentially, sort of mini buildings that we place on the map in each of the regions, and they all have their own effect. You can interact with them. For our particular shrine, we start off with the God of Amun. We'll take a look at the bonuses we get for the prayer, for the shrine, and what we get when we tier up. We can also devote a general to Amun if we want to, and we can see the bonuses for those. We can look at the god, but essentially we'll get more experience per turn to the unit in their region, and if we have a prayer, we get more experience as well. So it's an experience-based god. I don't think it's that powerful. We might switch gods as we discover more regions. Our local god choices will be shown once we unlock that feature, I think in the first Shimsu-Hor, so in 6 turns. We're going to talk about units, weather effect for the game. Since this is sort of our official first Let's Play, we'll quickly talk about it. There is now dynamic weather, so there's a chance each battle can have a changing weather pattern. You'll see it before you deploy. The attacking side gets to pick the weather. You have 3 chances to wait it out to find a weather pattern that you like. If you used up all 3 and you're stuck with the last one, then you're stuck with the last one. But essentially, since we start in the desert, we have a higher chance of seeing sandstorms and sweltering heat, which have various effects on the army. Sandstorm actually has constant damage, also hurts all the archer unit, which we have, so that will affect us. Sweltering heat will make units fatigue faster, but if we recruit local unit, most of them should be resilient to heat. So if we're fighting, let's say, Hittite units down the line in areas where there is sweltering heat, their heavy armor would do worse compared to our unit in those conditions. Native units we kind of talked about already. We have Nubian units and Kushnite units, so excellent range units, excellent defensive line units, kind of defines our playstyle. We also have titles, which is a new way of dealing with level ups in the game. We have 3 competencies, which we can put points in for each of our character after each level up. And once we have a certain set combination of competency points, we can trade those for titles. We can have up to 4 titles active each time, and they'll give various bonuses. In our case, we have titles that can exchange gold for campaign and battle bonuses. We can use them to specialize in Nubian or Kushnite units. We can also use them in campaign to improve our gold income and influence. Now, influence, as I mentioned before, will be something we have to keep an eye out for. Even though thematically we are sort of this half-blood prince, we don't want our influence to be low. We want to be Egyptian because the penalties for influence in province management is still very, very high. And then equipment, we'll take a look at that. It defines what our bodyguard unit is. So essentially, whatever we equip Amenmesse, his unit on the battlefield will be those units. So this is a very interesting thing added in for Total War Pharaoh. It is a historical game, so faction leaders, even though you do have this individual character, still has a bodyguard unit to represent them on the field. And then in terms of legitimacy, this is our challenge for the throne. My strategy here is we are going to consolidate our power in the south, get a good core at the edge of the map. We will face some Libu invaders, basically desert folks from the west, but they're not as strong as the sea people. They will be annoying, but once we have things established, we should be okay. Essentially, we'll have a very protected core. The Nile River will run sort of like a highway, and people can't invade you like that. But once we get the outpost set up, I think we'll be fine. We'll have some forts to protect our key holdings, and we should have multiple armies with the resources that we can command down south. And as mentioned before, the Ancient Legacy that I will be using will not be the recommended one here. I want to play with the Merchant one because the trade game there is really fun, and I think with the wealth that we accumulate from our land, we should do quite fine with that. So that's the faction. And we also start out with a lot of land. I think we are the faction that start out with the most territories. I think we have 4 at the start, crossing 2 separate provinces. We have the Per Ramses Mary Aman province over here. It is missing a gold mine. It is currently abandoned. So we just have to send someone to go fetch that. And that's just going to cost us a bit of food and a separate army. So we're going to have to get a general out. Now, you see these points here, they're competency points. There are 3 different competencies represented by 3 different animals. Essentially, they unlock titles. We want someone with 3 point. It just basically that's the first title unlock. None of them satisfy that, so there's really no point. There's no differences at this point. So we'll just randomly summon one.
The might of Nubia.
And
the might of Nubia.
We can look at what we talked about here. Titles, competencies represented by what I assume is the lion for presence. Fortitude looks like I cannot tell what animal this is. Maybe this is not a lion. Maybe this is a wolf. But this looks like a lion of sorts. Fortitude. Unless that's like a goat or a dog. And then we have a crane for otter. That one I can recognize. But essentially we have 3 competency points that we can tier up, and once we have a certain combination of points, we can unlock things. We can unlock different titles that we can use, and the titles are going to be a little different for each faction. but essentially we want to focus building our generals a certain way using these points. His job is just to run over here quickly and get us a complete province so I can get a commandment in, so we get an extra bonus for the province. And that's sort of going to shape our borders, as we're not going to claim these. These are also abandoned. We're going to let these desert folks do it, and then we'll probably end up going to war with them. Right now, my focus is on wiping out our first war target, which I think are the Kerma. We can pull up our diplomatic status. You can see we're at war with one faction here. And people don't really like us, but we can maybe try to force some diplomatic deals to maybe let the Buhins not attack us early. And we'll focus on all the factions down south, hug the edge of the map, and then build our way up. That's kind of our goal. Now the Kermas have two territories. They're both minor regions. They're not the province capital, which makes them a lot easier to siege. They do start out with 2 armies of 6 units each, so not too weak, not too strong. We'll wipe out this army on the first turn. We have a pretty rustic army. It's not too strong. We have some standard archers, the Kushnite Archer Militia, not very strong, but we have access to some very good ones. Nubian bowmen, that's sort of slightly better ones than the militia, but of course Nubian mercenary bowmen, our faction unique unit, is excellent. 230 range. It's incredible. And they're also decent in melee. Not in terms of the melee stat or melee defense, but at least they have a very decent weapon on them. They use an axe, which makes them pretty useful for that in that regard as well. We're definitely going to recruit a couple of these after we fight our first battle, and they're going to be sort of the linchpin to beating this faction early without taking much damage, and they'll make up the core of our army, even though they do cost quite a bit of bronze to recruit and upkeep. That's sort of our early game plan. Then we're going to just push our way down. I think given that Kawa borders us, we'll probably fight them first. We might want to butter up to the Pata before that. So that's sort of our diplomatic direction. You see these little icons here. The big circle ring means they are a pillar of civilization. They are key cities that the state of the world depends on. When these cities do well and are highly leveled and safe, the state of the world is in prosperity. As they get taken out, you end up in collapse and then crisis. We'll see that trigger after the first Shemsu Hor. Basically, that's a core mechanic, and when the world's in different state, we get different events. So higher chance of getting beneficial events when we're all prospering, and the chance of getting a lot of bad event like earthquakes and droughts and famine when most of these settlements have been taken out by the sea people, or just by war between us as well. Our closest pillar is actually down south. We'll be taking that soon. For the first moves, we're going to do some diplomacy first. We actually have quite high in terms of diplomatic vision, which is something that's super annoying because if we don't deal with them, they might attack us.
In the name of duty.
Most people don't want to sign anything with us, but we're going to have to try to push a few deals through if we can. So, the Buhin, rebellious, aggressive, unreliable, underhanded, recent Egyptians. They're Nubians who just became Egyptians. Negative 7.8. I don't think we're going to get that through.
By the heady scent of incense.
We can maybe try to buy this. Trustworthiness with them, negative 9. I thought we were at 0 before this. I was pretty sure we opened it and it was at 0. Huh. It still feels weird we start out with a penalty to this.
Battle is my calling.
But I guess we'll just have to deal with it. What about our faction to the south? The Napata. Also 7.8. Also very similar in terms of diplomatic attitudes.
Are you hoping to benefit from Nubia's riches?
We're just going to have to take it one step at a time and hope they don't attack us early. So our diplomatic plan is probably not going to work. We have 3 starting royal decrees we can go for. My favorite one's probably Longer Festivals. It only grants happiness in the faction capital province, which is decent enough in my opinion. Also, influence for us in particular might be useful just because we have a lot of negative influence buildings. But aside from that, influence usually doesn't help that much. It sort of works like religion in Shogun 2, where it takes all the influence factors on one settlement and then takes the ratio of that and then determines what percentage it should be and then slowly trends toward that over multiple turns. So sort of an immediate boost of just one influence isn't going to net you much change in terms of your influence percentage until many turns later. So it's less useful in my opinion. Happiness obviously monitors sort of the rebellious state of your settlements. This is our capital, right? That's a good question actually. Where is our capital? This is our capital province. And this province happiness currently -8 here, but as we use the idle workforce, we'll be able to get a pretty balance. Adding 3 happiness here keeps things afloat. And we don't get any great bonuses for keeping really high happiness, a little bit of workforce growth, a little bit of morale and recruitment, but the penalties in this game for being unhappy is a construction time increase, and that is very crippling in my opinion. So to avoid that, we're going to be trying to keep this thing at least neutral or positive. Anything above 0 is going to be okay. I don't need the workforce growth bonus, but I don't want any of the penalties. Now, influence here, as I mentioned, you can see our current influence number is 4. So this is going to be ratioed with all the other influence we have here, and the outsider, we're the outsider, but the Kush and Nubian influence here is stronger than our current one, and you can see the per turn shift of that amount. So we need influence to kind of counterbalance that, or else we're going to lose our 10% production. It goes to neutral at 60 to 80%, which is acceptable. Once we start dipping below 60, the resource hits become quite hurtful. We never want to be here. If we're here, this province is just useless. But here or here is okay. So that 1 point isn't going to change very much. We might as well try to tweak some of the buildings. Try to avoid the situation, build some building that can increase influence, or just kind of eliminate neighbors. If we don't have these Kush and Nubian neighbors, we don't have an influence issue. And workforce sort of works like the old growth mechanic. You can see the growth numbers down here. So currently at 5 idle workforce, we have a happiness hit, but as we increase that farther, we actually get new recruitment slots. All the buildings require workforce, so it's no longer just for your main building upgrade like in Warhammer, for those who are familiar. Now for every building we require some workforce. For our first building here, let's see what we have. Now looking at the resource tab first, we have a port, which means we have access to some lumber. Trees or wood producing regions for Egyptian factions really scarce because there's just not many forests in the desert. So anytime we can squeeze in sort of this lumber port, especially in a food settlement, this is a good thing. We want to keep that. We have fishing village because we are a harbor, decent amount of food. We can also put in a farm, which is also decent amount of food. It doesn't help us much with influence, so gotta take that into consideration. Then looking at our production building, these are the percentage boost buildings. This one here, the gold market, is unique to us. As you can see, it's pretty simple. We pay some gold upkeep and we get a bit of every other resource, except for the food. But if we upgrade it, we literally get everything plus legitimacy plus happiness. And this is a pretty good building if we take control of most of the gold mines around us, because 80 gold for those resources, in my opinion, is a good trade. In particular, bronze and stone. Stone because it's limited, it's finite. And bronze because we can upkeep higher tier units, including some of our archers. These are our recruitment building. These are military support. So if production supports resources, military support supports recruitment. We get all sorts of things like, army bonuses, recruitment cost decreases for generals, additional recruitment slots, and then recruitment costs for units and recruitment cost discount for military buildings. And then management sort of covers a little bit of everything, just boosting happiness, boosting influence, boosting happiness. It's a lot of happiness, but like say this one, the Hall of Messenger for us might be very useful because we need some influence. And there's also things that, you know, increase movement and decrease cost for all the outposts, which is kind of limiting because outposts usually just cost about 200 stones, not that expensive if we have access to stones. And this is our other unique building, the Foreigners Residential, with the Visitor Center, basically. We can get workforce growth, production, but we lose influence. This is not good for us. I actually don't like this building. Tier 1's okay because we don't lose influence. We got it for free, but I think we probably actually want to empty this out, clear a building slot, and build something else. This has no future for us. This might even be something we want, Hall of Record, just because we desperately lack those influence. And this is just sort of a unique building here. Not unique, but limited to one. Sort of our palace of other games. But here is just a monument. Gives us a lot of good stats. And that pretty much wraps our faction. Recruitment buildings gets us chariots, gets us archers, gets us sword units, gets us native units. It's basically native units of whatever region we're in. In this region, it will be a lot of Nubian Kushnite units. Not the ones that we have as faction unique, but the ones that are in this territory. So for Total War Pharaoh, they are faction unique units, they are native units. Native units are basically region bound. So in certain regions of the map, you have different native units. Faction unique units are faction bound. So for us, it will always be the Nubian archers, the Kushnite archers, and the Nubian spearmen. That combination is going to stay with us no matter what part of the map we have, which means these buildings will produce the same thing for us. Once we get to a different region, even though it will still be called sort of the native mustering field, the units there will be different. So here we have the Kushnite spear recruits, but if we advance farther up to Upper Egypt or in Lower Egypt, we'll get different units from these buildings. All right. And this is our second province, which will eventually secure us. Well, we currently have 2 food, which is great. Will eventually secure us a bronze and a stone. And that probably means we have all the resources. I know there's no wood, but we have ports, and ports get us wood, and that's good enough. We're in the desert. We can't ask for too much. So we'll worry about those later. We talked a lot. Time to get some fighting going.
Amenmesse.
This is a shrine. This is an outpost. You can see you can switch between settlement buildings and outposts. And the outposts pre-built locations are marked on the map. You can see them here. There are military outposts, administrative ones, economic ones, and religious ones. Technically not that many. 2 military, 2 administrative. I think 1 economic and 1 religious outpost. They could be more once you unlock more gods. Up to 3. You can pray up to 3 gods. In our case, we are currently praying only to Amon. It does grant local influence +5. This is actually the building that will kind of fix our influence, in my opinion, and that's the only reason why Amon is pretty good for us. We can also gain prayer effects once we interact with this building, which we currently already have one, which is why we can't build another one. And if we hover over it, you can see the army interaction bonus on the bottom. The entire army will gain 12% melee attack, and experience from battle will increase by 12% for the next 4 turns.
How long
The movement that you require to interact with each outpost, 50% of that will be refunded when you interact with them. So it's less punishing to try to reach these, and sometimes the bonus can be quite good. So we'll do that first. We're going to pray, and then we're going to go kill.
Taste my golden blade.
And we'll fight this battle just to kind of showcase our units. They have 2 archers. They are using native units basically here. The general unit, the bodyguard unit, is the one we have to be kind of careful about. Those can get very strong. But we are going to try to win this fight here cleanly, or as cleanly as we can. Yeah, our game plan is going to be pretty historical. We're going to wait till Dad dies, which happens pretty early. Oh, weather. Okay, so our first weather here is just sandstorm throughout. We don't want this. We're going to wait. I'm going to gamble. Prefer if we get one just doesn't have sand. There we go. That works.
Are
Looks
you
like-
ready to mount your attack?
Ooh.
To triumph, you must
We
rout
set
the enemy
everything
in a
to
timely
default,
manner. Plan
including
your strategy with care.
This will be over quickly.
tutorial. We don't need that. We're gonna just set the army up. Oh, I also should have turned off skirmish
I'll
mode.
make
I'll
it
do
up.
that in between episodes. Just a bit cleaner without that.
Your
We should be able to
generals have
see.
their own unique skills and advantages.
Could we?
Pay close attention to them and be ready.
Actually, I think we can turn that off. Minimum. I think this is good. We can turn this off. Yeah, that's probably all we can do here. If it still pops up, I think it'll be good after episode. If we reload it in, it should stop.
Viceroy of Kush.
Where are they? We should be able to see them after we climb up this ridge.
Fighters of Nubia!
Wait, where are the enemy? Oh, there they are. They're in a ditch.
For glory! On the move! Onwards!
So, let's see. Our units here, 25 melee defense. Speed is what? 43. They're the faster ones.
Swallow our foes.
This is going to be our frontline units.
Marching! Fighters of Nubia! Marching!
We're going to go pretty wide.
With me.
Power and pride! Pushing on! Marching!
Going to call them to...
Onwards!
They're just going to fodder for us.
These men are not our brothers!
On the move! Fighters of Nubia!
I'm
Never
going to
forget.
flank with everyone else.
For my birthright.
Fighters of Nubia!
They're patient now, but
To victory!
yeah, we want to fight on this ridge.
On the move!
Into position! To victory!
Pushing on!
Never falter! On the move!
We want to kind of snipe this guy, force them to kind of move away.
Marching!
Fighters of Nubia! Onwards!
Onwards!
Alright, they're going to be moving into range.
Into position!
Fire, fire, fire. We also can rapid fire, which reduces reload time, but really hurts accuracy. Huh, they kind of juked us there with a little back step there that took.
For glory! Onwards!
Advancing.
Into position!
Yes, to glory!
We want to just kind of hold position real quick. Alright, we can charge this one now.
Archers, fire!
Never falter!
We're going to send 2 units each. Hold.
Not a step backwards!
Give them a sort of defensive position here.
Keep tight. Fighters of Nubia.
Fight with honor!
We'll let them clash into our 2 front units, frontline units, I guess.
Glory! Pushing on! Can't you?
Pushing
They're
on!
not going to do very much.
Marching!
We're going to be flanking.
Power and pride!
I don't think there's a point to fight the enemy bodyguard unit much in melee.
Marching!
They just get too much stat bonus to even really hurt them. We might try to
Into
shoot them.
position.
Fighters of
Yeah, these units will get wiped here.
Together, brothers! On the move!
Yeah,
Into
perfect.
position.
We just want to kind of shoot at them.
And release.
There will be some friendly firing. That is just what it is.
Break their necks!
Onwards!
I think range is just the easiest way to kill enemy generals. Alright, this is easy kill.
Fear us! Archers, shoot!
Once they fully route here,
Fighters of Nubia!
Send a barrage.
Alright, and we can send them over as well.
On the move.
And we got them fully flanked, which should lower their stats. You can see all the red. That's the penalty for being flanked. And we should quickly kill them off, or as quickly as we can. Over here, our guy is kind of dying.
Marching.
Pow in here. The second unit, actually kind of want them to go here,
Onward.
because our guy is probably going to die. And then after that, we need to block off a potential side flank over here. And hopefully we can kill this quickly.
The might of Nubia.
Oh, they're getting pulled in.
Fighters of Nubia.
That's not what we really
Fight
want,
with
but it's okay.
Pull out.
They're pretty weak.
Fighters of Nubia.
Aim and release.
We got it. This side died to our archers,
Pushing on.
and the morale collapsed over here. Basically sacrificed this guy to keep everyone else decently healthy.
Whatever it takes.
And we will probably actually just take the income here.
Grant them their freedom. The gods reward
We
determination.
can't reach this, so we're going to be at the edge, and we're going to
Get
recruit.
marching.
We're going to get these Nubian mercenary bowmen for their incredible range, and also they have access to fire arrows, which our militia units do not. We're going to recruit 2 of them.
Awaiting the soldiers.
This is our
of
max
fortune.
recruitment. We only have 2 slots. We can get more if we get more workforce, but it's not worth it. I think the happiness penalty, I guess, only worth it late game when you have it full build and you don't need any more. And you're going to have plenty of passive growth, so eventually you'll end up here and just have to deal with -6 happiness, but you get basically 4 recruitment slot in every one of your provinces. Looking at our building choices, it's not bad, but I don't like it. Sort of like what we did with the other one. We have that building sort of in both of our provinces. This is our food minor region. The building choices are much more limited. We need to be tier 3 to get a Shadu farm. Essentially, this is not on the Nile, so we are kind of in the desert. There's not going to be a lot of great resource buildings. You have different variations of food minor settlements. You basically have those that are on the coast in a better sort of terrain. In the desert, we only have this building here. So we need to hit tier 3 before we can get there. We could potentially just upgrade this to tier 2 here with our 2 workforce. You can see the idle workforce count and how much we need to upgrade. Happiness, yeah, that's going to work for us for now. Basically want to build this and make this region useful for us. We probably want to turn this into a recruitment province as a whole because there is bronze. Alright, so we can look into getting some of the recruitment buildings here. If we want like a native recruitment. Or go for something like passive experience. It's just so low. Yeah, it's probably going to end up being the native recruitment office. Or this. Actually, keeping the upkeep down is pretty good. Yeah, we're on coast, so we have a lot of available buildings. Do we want to... I guess we can keep this for now. Like here, we're tight on building slots. And I don't think this will become a recruitment center. Thinking about getting rid of this and grabbing the gold market. We can afford it. Yeah. We'll grab the gold market and we'll grab the reclaimed farmland afterwards. Here we just have to produce gold. We also can build gold markets in minor gold counties. We want to just expand our mines, so we need to upgrade this as well. And it's probably going to be gold market plus both of these. I think we'll skip out on these here. We could get this going right away, I guess. Minus 35. We can afford that. Alright, and then shrines. Shrines are going to be very useful for us because of the influence. So you can see here, we have 11 points of influence, and that's going to equal 68.2%. And currently, and it's going up, and we're getting a 2% increase that's just bumping up. And that's just because we have a shrine, essentially. The difference between here and there, local populace also being influenced a bit differently. So what we need to do is just pop a few shrines on the map, on these outposts. We can kind of pick where we want them. We want to keep forts kind of on a defensive position. It's still something I'm exploring. Take the road. Maybe we can put a shrine here. Only cost us 100 stone, 2 turns to complete. There's only 2 slots for this, which makes things a little bit tight, because one of them needs to be a fort, and the other one being a shrine. We don't need one here. Alternatively, we build something like this. But it's only region bound, so I guess this being a food one doesn't matter as much. Alright, we're gonna pop this here just because we really need it. And since I mentioned, we also need a fort. Eventually, I think we need a fort here as well, but not as urgently. Yeah, we'll save some stone until we actually conquer our stone province. Amenmesse leveled up, and we can kind of showcase the title system.
By any means.
So our missile infantry that is under our command can all gain shoot while move, which is great, but not that important. Nubian infantry or units can get resistant to heat, strong vigor for Kushnite unit. All depends on how we want to build it. We kind of can look to the end game of what type of combination we want here. Overseer of gold, massive influence, increase, gold increase for faction-wide for every general. I guess I don't actually know how this one works. I think it's just he will generate 200 gold. It's going to be source is general, so he's generating. It's not every general, it's just that he will generate 200 gold per turn faction-wide and the province. I feel like this is kind of wasteful on someone like Amenmesse, our faction leader, just because he will be battling in foreign land. Recruitment cost could be one of these recruitment stations. Labor cost for building sieges. This one's probably something we might consider because this way we can siege and attack and be faster at taking out big settlements and we'll be on the front line all the time. So we might be considering things like presence and ardor when we do the build, ambush chance, movement required to do ambush, reducing upkeep. Decent, but maybe we might not need this. Plus 5%, but only for Kushnite units. 8 armor for this. Not that impressive. Yeah, plus 5% for the whole army. I feel like we're looking at this build, Overseer of Sieges, for our endgame build. Which means we're going probably for this early. Also help us reduce a little bit upkeep and increase influence once we hit that tier 5 bonus. And we can put on our first title here, the Bite of Wajet, which allows all our missile infantry to shoot while move. And that's sort of how the level up system works. For inventory, once we are Pharaoh, we have access to the Pharaoh's crown. Before then, we have our armor, we have our shield, our weapon, our chariot if we have that, 2 followers, and 2 ancillary items. And that's pretty much it. We didn't get any items during that. We did pick up a trait advancement. We can look at that as well. It's on the detail section. So for traits, they come in pairs in Total War Pharaoh. So for the one that we have right now, it's between pious and materialistic, and it will shift deeper and deeper depending on actions we take. So if we interact with non-religious outposts and ransom captives, we get higher chance of getting ancillary item after battle. If we keep praying at shrines, or be present when a shrine is being constructed, we get increased movement after we do a prayer, which, you know, we're kind of doing a little bit of both at the same time. But for bonus sake, I think this one's probably better. Our shrine building's more or less for influence maintenance than anything else. And that pretty much sums up our turn. I don't think diplomacy is going to get easier. We could use our gold to buy some friends, but I think we'll be okay without them. Our -9 starting untrustworthiness hurts us a bit. We have new victory conditions,
Serenity
which
hides
we can
only
talk about as well. It's quite different than previous Total War games. There's a lot more flexibility. There are now 3 types of victory. Minor victory, which requires 60 victory points. Major victory, when you get 100 points and 140 points, you get the ultimate victory. The conditions are much more flexible when compared to previous Total Wars, as you can kind of craft your own victory condition. You can pick which homelands you conquer, each with different victory points. There's going to be missions that comes out throughout the game that can offer you victory points. There are buildings that can offer you victory points. There are things like becoming the Pharaoh that gets you additional points. There are landmarks you can control that get you points. Ambitions, which are events we'll see later in the game that we can do to get us additional victory points. And basically, once we hit enough points, you kind of win the game. And you can keep playing afterwards, but essentially the new victory condition is much more flexible. And this got changed from the pre-release. I think it used to be ultimate victory was 110 points. They extended that by 30 points because it was just hitting a little bit too early. Alright, we don't have vision of this location. I would actually prefer to get 2 more of these archers before we advance. Now the AI recruit a lot faster than we do. They get more recruitment slots. But even in that case, I feel more comfortable bringing additional archers against that. They had 6 units. They had to move down here, even if they want to defend against us. So they probably wouldn't be able to recruit for a turn. I expect to be facing anywhere between 6 to 12 enemies next turn. So we'll spend 1 more turn recruiting. We're not going to rush ourselves here. I think that's what got me into a lot of trouble with some of the preview Let's Plays. We'll take our time. We want to farm. Over here, we empty out a lot of these. And we want the extended farm, but we don't have enough wood. We can trade for that. Or we can wait a turn. Actually, waiting a turn and trading for it's very similar. We should actually just trade for that. And we do want to get more wood. It seems like wood is what's holding us back. Aside from wood, I was considering this, but we don't need that anymore because we're going for shrine building to get our influence instead. As you can see, once the shrine comes online, we should get about 10-point boost. We should go to 14, and that should start pushing us back up. A lot of things we want to build will all take wood. We have a decent wood income, but not enough. We're short 99 wood to get this building through, the one that we want to build. And that's going to be done through diplomacy.
For Pharaoh's glory.
They like us the most, given by their least negative number. They prefer wood. That's not good. We want someone who doesn't want wood.
I will
but we're in Egypt.
for Pharaoh.
Alright, not many people in their right mind
How could I not admire
don't
such
want wood.
resplendence?
We need 99 wood. It's okay, they think it's a gift, which is why the value is really skewed. That's too expensive. Maybe we do just wait a turn. Yeah, maybe we do just wait a turn. No one has extra wood. Like, no one in Egypt has extra wood.
Death to my enemies.
Which is why we're actually doing pretty well with 180 something wood. I think we're okay. We'll just wait a turn to get the food online. It's not like we're lacking that much food. We can run negative food without too much issue. We have one general here, which we recruited for one purpose, getting us that settlement. I don't believe we can claim on March. Yeah, so we're just gonna walk over and get that next turn. We decided not to build anything else. I think we're good.
Prosperity is not forever.
Right, we're in prosperity, so higher chance of getting good events like this. Let's see what we want to build with our extra wood. I think this is a building we don't need. This is going to be a recruitment center. But maybe we still want more food. Not sure about that. We could delay a turn, try to get this. I know we want this as well, eventually, for this. Let's spend the wood on the buildings here first. Two workforce, okay. We'll have that next turn. Yeah, we're ready to go to war.
Time to strike.
He didn't recruit yet. He had to run over here. So we got very lucky. There's still the garrison troops, but with our army, I think we have plenty to beat him here. Delegate does not favor us, but obviously that's why we're here. In siege battles like this, fire arrows are very useful. We can burn the settlement down, we can kind of snipe their troops. Their archers are all native type, I think 150 range. So we can kind of neutralize them. We don't want a sandstorm. Absolutely not. Sweltering heat into dry. That's perfect, actually. This is the squad. The fire arrow squad. There are 21 ammo on these guys. We're gonna have to be a little bit careful with how we spend those ammo.
Impediment will drag them into battle.
I don't think they'll charge out. Yeah, they actually spread their units out quite far. One of the enemy generals are actually a archer type. Alright, just to showcase how great these units are. So, if you look into missile damage, it breaks down to what's the missile damage for base, what's the armor piercing damage, that adds up to 35, but that's not really your damage figure. You want to look at your accuracy, your reload time in terms of DPS, but essentially 15 accuracy at tier 1 is quite good. These numbers I think goes up by 4 for each rank up, so by the end we'll be somewhere near like the high 50s, 60s. Very, very accurate unit. The range obviously super strong. If we look at one of our militia units, this one got 1 rank up, so I think it started at 13 then. Anyone not rank up? Okay, all of them ranked up. But reload time goes down, damage is 29. But the range is the main thing. We get to hit enemy units for free. And it might get to the point where they come out and fight us, just because they don't want to get hit for free anymore. They just can't hit us. Wait, can I see their... Oh, I can't see it? 80 range advantage.
Release.
Actually, we're gonna walk up a bit more. They can't hit us.
Into position.
And we can also burn the buildings. We can aim ground. Given that we're in desert, aiming ground's probably not going to be worth it, just because the fire's not going to spread on any of this ground.
Loose arrows.
I was hoping for a more coordinated volley, but this is okay. Don't fire well. They also can fire while they move, so I'm going to be careful there. We want to be very careful with the ammo that we spend.
Aim for their hearts.
See if we can get one volley from 4 units.
They cannot
Look at the health that comes down on those. They are running away though,
Pushing on.
which
Matching.
proper thing to do, but still. Let us hit you. Yeah, one volley, kind of half health there.
Into position.
Might be easier to use them in pairs, just because it's hard to overlap the range.
Let the sun melt our foes. Fighters of Nubia.
Archers, shoot!
They run so fast.
Arrows ready.
Alright, let's do a little bit
All
of
will
building
burn in
burning.
this heat.
We will force our way in.
Cut through them!
I don't know if we can reach that actually.
Marching!
Oh, I think we can definitely reach those.
Onwards!
The advantage of burning buildings, just lower their morale, melee attack, melee defense, and increase their fatigue factor, which will also lower, the fatigue factor also lowers their melee attack and melee defense. So basically that gives us advantage in the fighting ahead. Spread those fire, change it back to regular arrows, which has more damage. They pull back all their archer units. This guy has a shield, I believe. Yeah, so we're not gonna shoot them.
Matching. On the move.
We will move our army up a little. We are gonna get into regular weather soon, which is kind of what I'm waiting for.
Burn them all.
Fear us! Fight with honor! Fighters of Nubia! Viceroy of Cook!
Into position.
You can see the fire starting.
Kushites never miss. Into position. Fighters of Nubia.
They can't reach us. No rush. Burn these buildings.
Send a barrage.
Burn these buildings.
Put the flames out. Marching. Onwards.
Into position!
I don't think we'll make a full journey around.
Never falter! Fighters of Nubia! Tear
But we'll
them apart!
burn some of the bigger clusters.
Archers fire.
Get us a decent percentage here.
On the move! Marching! Onwards!
And then most of them, the job is still going to be kill this group here.
Pushing on.
I'll just send this guy over here.
Fight hard! Into position!
Matching. I am used to heat, but this is too much.
How long till the weather change?
Bring them down! On the move!
Fighters of Nubia. Aim for the hearts. Fight with honor.
Oh, they're shooting back, but it's okay. They want to stay and fight us. We have 3v1
Yes.
with better
to glory.
damage.
Archers, shoot!
Marching.
Don't stand on top of each other. It does limit who can shoot. They're dying.
Pharaoh! Send a barrage!
And we're doing some free collateral damage on the other units.
Power and pride!
Alright, stop wasting arrows. And one person died.
Onwards. Pushing on.
We can probably burn the buildings on the second tier there too.
By the gods,
Do they have shields? Oh, they have a shield wall. Fancy.
Slay them.
Can't reach it.
Into position.
I feel like their range should be able to cover that.
Fight as one.
No?
Meet
Okay, we'll
your
burn that
end.
then.
Archers, fire!
On the move. Marching.
The might of Nubia. On the move!
We're gonna go shoot them. Worried about them charging out. It's gonna loop around a little bit.
Break their necks. May the sand swallow our foes.
Also, having a unit here just kind of keeps these three guys honest. So they can't all pull over there.
Pushing on. Into position.
Call this guy 3.
Nubian marksmen.
Yeah, the generals have better stats. A little longer to kill them, but matter of time.
On the move.
Oh, they had enough. Fire will.
Fighters of Nubia.
Marching.
Right into the desert.
Onwards.
Trust your gut!
Power and pride.
Front line.
We will triumph.
Send a barrage!
Spear brace.
They're all ranged. We just gotta dash into them.
Meet your end!
They can't actually do anything to us.
Archers! Onwards!
Advance, man. With me.
Alright, we fake that. Pull back. They turn around. We keep them honest. We come back. I know they're gonna shoot us a little bit here, but
On the
I don't want to run to that spear unit, so we're gonna give that spear unit some time to run out, and then we have
pushing
plenty
on.
of time to run back in again.
And release. Fighters of Nubia. To victory.
Arrows ready! For glory!
Yeah, that first unit's already wiped already.
Hear us.
We can go. I'm kind of worried about this guy.
Together.
The general,
brothers.
we're gonna have to throw something at the general eventually.
The might of Nubia.
Send a barrage!
Fight with honor.
I don't know if we can pin him down. Coming back. Okay, now we just go that way.
Making it happen.
Kill this. Move in.
Pushing on! It's a trap!
Show no mercy.
Break their necks!
Tear them apart.
Yeah, it's like he comes back, but he can't do much against us.
Into position.
We can even shoot some buildings just to annoy them. Keep running.
On the move. Marching.
Merwell works hard today. A Amenmesse denies us.
Shoot the ones coming up. Actually, just hold. I mean, none of their archers could be firing right now, so we're good. Yeah, we wiped out that enemy unit.
The fiends have ambushed us.
Into position. Never falter. No! It cannot.
Alright, he's just chasing us now. We're just gonna keep looping. We'll wait till their morale crashes when we win this side.
Power and pride. Pushing on. To battle.
It's kind of a mess here.
I will not be beaten.
Archers, fire!
Moving on. Triumph is assured.
Kind of want to shoot at that group when they get into range. Are they backing off? It's okay. We can come in here.
Fear us!
Do you dare
Fire.
test yourself?
Never falter!
They have good shield.
Nubian marksmen! Don't save us!
Alright, the archer units are starting to rout.
Triumph! Hold, brothers! Do not waver!
We can just chain the route onto the other units. The archer general routed.
Victory!
The other general is going to be really rough to rout.
Fighters of Nubia!
On the move!
Into position!
Not much our archers can do at this point.
On the move! Marching!
This is poor craftsmanship!
Fight with honor!
Alright, the archers have chain routed. What about the other units?
We have no chance!
This is our guys, the naked guys with the spear. Not a lot of friendly fire. We should be okay. This is pretty dense.
I will not fail!
We lost vision of that. Oh, army loss. We did it. So their second army is now defeated as well. They're probably recruiting a third army as we speak, so expect resistance in the last region. Okay, I think the first hit was enough, but we got two more in there for good measures.
Bought with blood.
Got a little bit of bronze. And we're just gonna occupy here.
This is ours by conquest.
It is a sacred
My
land.
influence
This
grows.
gives us additional legitimacy points when we are going for the Pharaoh position in a civil war. There are no buildings here. We will build some next time. We also gain a common sword, which for us kind of useless. Our axe is better. We'll take a look at items and whatnot. But our goal next episode's finish taking control of this province, take control of our starting province with just a claim here. We could make a move to extend our borders here, depending on if we can buy their friendship, because then we have sort of this one location as sort of a dedicated defense against potential incursions. So we might try that instead of having a wider front. All depends on if we can get them happy. Our untrustworthiness should die down 1 point per turn until eventually it doesn't hurt us that much. Maybe we can invest some gold just ahead of time just to get those things done. And essentially it's just going to be build up our first 2 provinces, get the main army ready. We shift our attack to the Kawa and then the Napata. Once they're cleared, they'll be claiming some of these empty land as well as the faction in the north. We could also try to claim some of these, but it might overextend us, so we'll let someone else do that, and we'll just take those afterwards. Our first goal is just to hug the edge and then move north and slowly encroach. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and see you next time. Bye!